Entertainment Banter would like to remind you to stop and proceed with caution. Some language may not be suitable for some children, or most.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, welcome back to Entertainment Banter. My name is Joel,
And I'm Matt.
and Matt and I are here.
We sure are.
Matt,
Joel,
I
I would like to compliment
I
you
just-
on your intros.
I thank you.
You put me to sleep every time.
They are probably the best. People use it. I've heard people use it to put their kids to sleep. It's been great.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I use it to
I
put
know.
my kids to sleep.
That's you're the only person who listens to this pod. So,
That and my mommy, my dear mommy.
so,
All right, let's go.
so Matt, you and I, would you say that we've been around since video games got popular, right? Would you say we've been around long enough?
I would say since they were created for me.
Yeah, no, I would. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to say because we weren't
From
alive,
the birth.
but we
I
weren't really
remember a
around
world-
when like the first Pac-Man machine was made. But we
Right.
were like when the home console was created. That is like when Matt and I took breath of
Yeah.
air,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Pong.
Right. No, we
So
weren't.
anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So
Go
then
ahead.
that means we have a whole repertoire of games we've experienced.
From beginning till now.
Till
correct,
now.
yes.
So we've played it all. We've like I even started like let's go with the most simplest. Let's start from the generation of Nintendo and Sega. So we know about the Master System and the NES, and we've gone the distance. We've played every system. The only one we haven't really gotten to was the newer ones because Matt and I are standing firm that they suck. You got the Xbox extra shitty, and you got the PSS, whatever that thing is.
POS.
The POSS, yeah, the PS5.
What's the point of I'm not gonna pay scalper prices and I'm not
Right.
even
Why
gonna waste my
are we
time right now?
when they were out, they were selling for, oh my god, what, I think $2,000 was PS5 at one point.
Well, the best part is
Oof.
like, especially with Xbox, like it's all backwards compatible still. So they're reselling older games with better graphics. Congratulations. They're still the old games. You know what I mean? There's nothing a lot. There's not
Well,
too many new games. So
Nintendo does that too, but I mean I just
Yeah.
pre-ordered the new Halo Infinite game and I got worried that 'cause
Okay.
he didn't ask me what system for it was because I knew it was for both systems, Xbox One and Xbox Extra Shitty. And I don't know what the fuck does the X and S stand for? What the fuck is that?
it's just one has a play like a CD-ROM,
is
one
stupid.
doesn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
It's
I
a
don't
fucking
know, better-
refrigerator. So I know people made fun of the original Xbox because it was so big, but I mean, come on. And then the newer Xboxes, like the Xbox 360, sound like a jet engine taking off. But
Right.
I pre-ordered it, and the guy's like, "Oh no, the Halo, literally the game says on it Xbox One and Xbox XS on it, so it means it's totally compatible with both. Like the game's being sold as both.
Right.
So that tells me they have no confidence in their new system. That's what it tells me. But
Yeah.
that's not
Well,
what we're
they're
here to
trying
talk about.
No, but you mentioned it, so I'm going to say two things. They're trying to wean people off hard copies. That's what they're trying to do. And they're trying to wean people off of even owning the games. It's going to be all pay-to-play services, So that's the gimmick right now. We're at an end of a video game era for those that just want to, I think we talked about before, like there was a movie that came out in the 80s or early 90s and it was called The Wiz or The Wizard. I don't remember I can't remember, but it was like a Nintendo movie where Nintendo first came out and they would take their console on the road and plug it into hotel rooms and they would
Oh,
play it
yeah.
because they had the hard copies of
Uh-huh.
it and stuff. Nowadays that's not going to be the case. You're not going to be able to take your Nintendo and a small TV to a log cabin in the middle of nowhere and play games because unless you had Wi-Fi there, you're not going to be able to play
You're in the
your
middle of
games.
nowhere. Nintendo already
so.
tried this back in the early 80s or late 80s, early 90s with broadcast gaming. Like there's a Zelda game out there that they broadcasted like almost like a TV show. You tuned in with your Nintendo, or since it was on America, it was a Famicom. You tuned in and you played the Zelda game for the time limit they let you. There's new levels every night, and you would, it was like that gimmick. And that's really cool. That was like the beginning of like I guess digital gaming way back then.
Yeah,
Like
first
not having
attempt.
no consoles. I mean, people have like you can download like, your system downloaded a portion of it, so people have like patched it together and supposedly I got a tickle. Supposedly patched it together and made the game, so you actually can buy the game now. Like fans did that, but that it failed. That process failed, so they eventually just gave up on it, and it just seems like now we're into that field again, but now we have the better technology to actually make it stick. Because
Well,
now they can just go, you know what, this is what we want to do, and we don't care if you're the consumer. But the consumers are stating, like, almost like how they're spending their money, showing is that what they want.
well, here's the problem, right? I mean, now we're way off subject, but here I'm gonna
Right,
go
right,
there.
right, right.
Um, think of Microsoft, for example, right? Like they use the excuse of what was it, piracy and stuff. You know, like people taking their software and making copies of it. So it becomes subscription based, right? You can only
Right.
use subscription based for Microsoft Works or something, and same
Mm-hmm.
thing with like Adobe Photoshop now, and like all editing softwares, and like it's a paid service, monthly service, just like Netflix. Everything's paid service now, right? And that's it's not stupid. I feel like it's the 1% is in the mindset of, and it's talked a lot about other things too, which is scarier, like when it comes to properties, like living properties. But let's just keep it where it is right now with, let's say, the digital realm, and that is you don't own anything. They're pushing that route where they don't want any citizen to own anything anymore. That they have to constantly pay for something. You have to constantly pay for your entertainment. You have to constantly pay for your house to live there permanently. You know, like it's no longer like you can't pay off a mortgage. It's like you don't own it. I feel like that's the way they're going, and like the only way you're going to stop this is if you stop your streaming services and if you stop, your gaming services, which the younger generations don't know, don't care, and that's the problem. You know, like they are okay with that lifestyle of just buying a service and having access to everything. But what they don't understand is once there's no other option to get your content, you're completely at their mercy and their prices and everything else.
Well, of course, companies want to do that. What's better than, Matt, you buy Microsoft Word once and then you don't have to use it again? Or what if I give you a subscription and yeah, we'll keep updating it, but we're getting more revenue stream because you're always constantly paying for it? Of course, that's what they
Right.
want. Of
No, I
course.
know. But what I'm saying though is for the people that want it just one time or to try it or whatever. And like granted, if you want a consumer to buy the same product again, that's where you add more features. And
Of
like yeah,
course.
it's crappy as a it's crappy as a consumer, not for a developer, but then you just hold back, the 4K, the 8K, the 24K, the fucking who cares K. You know what I mean? Like you just keep making it better, and then if the people are willing to buy it and think they need it, then good for them. But those that are saying, I'm good with the standard definition television,
There's a
then
lot of
fine,
people,
so be it.
yeah. Well,
You know?
oh, I just had a thought about all that. Well, you look at some would argue that the reason why we're trying to go in this direction anyway, as a consumer version of it, is that we
Go
want to
green.
we want to yeah, go green. We want to reduce our carbon footprint, and I understand that to a degree. So of course, corporations are going to take advantage of that mentality. And I feel like as soon as we officially get into that world, like I know you're prepared for it when we no longer can buy toys or we can't buy the games we want. When you can't buy them anymore and it's all like you have to 3D print them. You got the, 3D print your toys through a subscription service, or whatever. Once all that's complete, I feel like that will be officially. I know right now people say we're in economic slavery. Like, physical slavery is where the owners house and feed you, right? And then you do work for free. But then economic slavery is where you feed and house yourself, and that's pretty much where we're at. We've been at because, like you said, we constantly pay for a mortgage. You never expect to pay it off. You never expect to
Well,
pay
what
off.
I'm
Right
saying
now, you
though is
never
that
expect to
you,
pay off your car either. Now, if you
yeah.
think about it,
Well,
like
the option is you never would
you never
own a
will.
house. Like you can't.
Right?
There's gonna be a point where you can't buy a house anymore.
No,
They're gonna
probably.
say all properties and land are taken. You cannot buy anymore.
Right.
You're always gonna have to
I
rent. Like
mean,
Hawaii, for example. You buy a house in Hawaii, unless they changed the law since I was there, but you own it for a certain amount of years. But it's not something that like it goes up for sale again. You know what I mean? After so many years, like you cannot pass it down generationally. I mean, maybe you can now. I don't know. But when I was there, uh, we were talking about buying there, and like people could only own their house. The house could only be in
you
the family for 80 years.
you can't own a Tesla.
Right. Right. And that's a perfect example. Why do people quote unquote need to own a car if Tesla's willing
Well,
to just have it drive to your house and take you where you need to go and make sure you drive the speed limit, make sure you follow the rules of the road, make sure you get there on
Matt,
time.
it has a camera that watches you in the car. That creeps me out.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason why that model is working is because if you look at the statistics, you and I own our cars outright. But there's
Right.
mass majority of America does not. They just lease vehicles, and when the lease is up, like every 3 to 5 years, they go
Right.
in and just get a newer version, And majority of Americans do that because they don't want to deal with maintenance, they don't want to deal with reselling, they don't want to deal with internet. They're just
Right.
like, I pay the $600 a month, $400 a month, $300 a month, whatever they're paying for their lease. And some releases, like even for Maseratis, because people are stupid, like $1,500 a month for their damn car, and they get used to that payment, and they're like, I'm just used to not having that, so they don't care.
Right.
And
Right.
that's
No, I
that's
know.
economic slavery.
Well, but it's also, I don't want to say stupidity, because if you do that, there's no, I mean, more power to you, whatever. But
Sure.
the thing is, it goes back to the streaming service wars, right? Like, once you sign up for it, that charge happens every month, and they're counting on that charge, whether you watch the streaming service or not. It's just one of those things where, like, they're hoping you forget that you have it, so that's a guaranteed 5, 10, 20,
Yep.
whatever bucks that
Oh,
they're
yeah.
charging you.
It's like the gym
And
memberships platform.
Right.
That you pay $25 not to go to the gym.
Exactly, right. Exactly. That's a perfect, gym memberships are a great example of that, where if you can't, even if you want to go, but you're just busy,
Right.
and you
You're
can't
still
make
paying
it,
for it.
you're still paying for it. So
Right.
every day you don't go, you're wasting money, really, if you think about it.
We should build a platform
Oh.
for gym memberships where if you don't go, your next bill is prorated and it marks how many times you go.
Right.
I think
Right.
like it should be like you go to the gym 10 times a month. That's the max amount. But if you only go 8 times, we'll prorate it for the next year, a lower amount each month. So it changes. So if you don't go at all, well, it will still charge you because you're still in the system, but it'll drop down to like the $5. I bet you that gym membership would be way better, like for 24-hour marketing. Even though it would lower your in revenue, more people would sign
Right.
up going like, well, I don't get to go that much this month, so it's only $5. But if I go over the 10 amount, I get way more value. You see
Right,
that?
right.
Yeah, you see that?
I see it. I mean,
That's a good
sign up registration fee. I would charge a little more if I was doing that, though. That's what I would do if I did that.
sneaky. But Matt, we didn't even get to our topic
We
yet.
didn't even get onto the topic. We're more than halfway through the pod.
Nah, we're halfway. You're exactly halfway.
We're halfway through the pod.
We didn't even mention our topic.
So,
and you're
long
like,
story
"Oh,
short,
we're
new
way off. You
generations-
said we're way off topic. We haven't even mentioned the topic.
We haven't even mentioned the topic. Well, let me just say this last thing. Final
All right.
thought for this
Oh my
random conversation.
God.
So, younger generations, listen, I know that you enjoy your convenience of all these things streaming, but I'm just telling you, you're the generation that's going to get screwed the most. So I'm just
They're-
know this. You'll never be able to own anything if you keep supporting these platforms.
They're
the
the
way that they're going.
generation. They're the generation that's going to ruin it for everyone else too.
Yeah, and then you don't even know though. That's the problem.
They
right?
don't.
You
They
guys
don't.
You're like, oh, we don't care. That's fine. Whatever. We can. No big deal. But you don't understand. Once it's gone. Like,
It's gone.
Notice how computers don't have CD drives. They're not going to have USB drives at some point. They're not even going to probably have hard drives at some point. At some point, you won't even be able to save documents.
MacBooks don't have
PCs.
USB. They have USB-C only now.
But you know what I'm saying,
Right.
That will go away, and soon computers won't even have hard drives because they're gonna you don't need your hard drive, just save it to our servers, to our
Right.
cloud. You know what I mean? Our TVs won't have any inputs, so any old devices that you have that work on TVs will no longer work. I mean, at some point you're gonna feel that pinch where you're not gonna be able to do anything except what they tell you to do because you supported it by paying for just the online gaming services and not buying hard copies, or you know what I mean? Like, that's how they're gonna do it.
Well, Matt, I guess we are halfway through this pod. I mean, I guess we're not going to talk about the actual topic. We'll save that for next week.
Okay. We got off the subject so early on, we didn't even mention the subject, so that's okay.
I mean, yeah, maybe we
So
should we mention the next week's subject will be, I don't know, hard gaming. Who knows?
You can mention it. We can mention it that way.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have
Well,
something
it'll
to
be
look forward to. Okay,
about
so-
we're meant to talk about games that made us hard. No, that games
No, so dumb.
games
Okay, keep going.
games that were difficult for us to play. They're fun to play, but they're just difficult games. I mean, we'll mention them next week. So
Right.
I guess that's where
So
we are.
Think about the games that you had difficulty playing, and maybe
Yeah.
we'll share something in common. But yeah, getting back to this whole subject that we weren't supposed to be talking about.
God,
Does
those
it sadden
millennials.
you? Does
Millennials.
it?
What?
I'm not blaming the millennials. The problem is they
It's just,
don't know
but
because they're
it does sadden me because not only you had these millennials or you have this newer generation just like buying into it. Like we've talked to our friends who've been guests on this pod that, oh, he just has the iTunes, or he doesn't have iTunes. He has, what are the music he plays subscription wise.
whatever the
It
streaming
makes me
services
sad
are
because
for whatever thing, right?
because you have a
Yeah.
lot of I'm gonna say, lack of a better term, these sheep that are in the older generation, boomers, and even our generation, that were like, oh, is this how it's going? I'm just gonna follow that pattern, and I'm gonna do it too. So it just adds
Well,
to
it
it.
is
It adds
convenient,
to it.
right? The argument is it's
It is
convenient,
super,
right?
I don't know how many times
You don't
I
have to grab a
It's
CD
true.
case full of DVDs
Or-
everywhere you go on the plane to watch movies. You got it on your phone. You can
Or
stream it.
spend
Blah, blah, blah,
3
blah.
weeks trying to organize your DVDs at home, Matt.
Yes, but the difference is once it's done, it's ready to go. And
I get
I
it. I get
digitize
it.
my stuff. I digitize my stuff. So whatever.
But I mean, I get it because there was days like I've been having issues trying to get my iTunes library back on to my. I'm just trying to, because it's so large. It's like gigs and gigs, right? I think it's probably
Right.
over 200 gigs now, and it's just difficult to be transferring it around and put it on things. So I remember messaging my buddy. Well, we know who he is, Nick. I was messaging Nick, and I said, "Hey, how do you do this on iTunes?" Because I figured he's like up with the times of technology. No, he's already moved on. He's like, iTunes? No, I pay subscription. So that was like, I'm like, do I just give
Right.
up and do it? Like,
He
I
just
almost,
rubs that
I
in your
literally,
face, right?
I put my hand in the air, like, do I just give up and pay I think it's like not even like $5 a month, and then I have all
No.
the music. But then
No, don't give
the other
up.
little voice in my head said, don't. So I
No,
didn't.
because like I can just give you, hey, so just throwing it out there. If you just collect music and
Right.
I don't care if you pay full price for it or not.
Right.
Even if you pay full price, long term, once you have it and you can digitize it into any medium or format that you so desire, so it can, as technology advances. This is why I say they're trying to phase everything out with because if you have, we mentioned all the connection points on computers, for example, right? If you can't connect these devices to your computers anymore, that you are able to convert your media into any format you desire, it becomes more and more difficult for you to do that. That's a win for them because,
Right.
and I'm talking like people like, who gives a crap about that? But the younger generations don't care. But the older ones that have home videos on older media that's disappearing, that beta players, VCRs, 8mm, whatever. The point I'm making is you're not going to be able to digitize those formats anymore to convert them into a modern day streaming option. And so, that's my biggest concern, right? When you lose your physical component pieces to any TV, or like right now people say, oh, I don't care, I can just plug my hard drive into the TV through the USB port and I can watch
Sure.
my files any way I want.
But that may go
But what
away.
I'm saying is they're going to get rid of all of these ports at some point. It's only going to be
That's where we're
streaming.
going
It's
towards.
only going to be cloud-based. And that's what I'm saying is when that happens, you really will lose. I mean, you're not going to be able. So anyone out there, any entrepreneur, if you make the most basic media player that supports all these different components, I'm guaranteeing you'll make a crap ton of money. A crap ton of money.
Trademark here.
Trademark.
You
I'm
got to
just saying
call us.
because
We'll help you with the design. Give us a call.
Yep.
Matt,
But I'm just saying
Matt's
the
number
basics.
is 555-55.
Yeah.
56.
555.
It's not Ghostbusters.
I hate technology. Yeah, but it's like, I hate where the world's going. But you know what I'm saying though, because I mean,
If we keep,
any old gaming systems, everything, you'll lose it. Look, your Xbox still has an HDMI input.
I get.
When they take that away from your TV, how are you going to play your Xbox games?
Right. I get the way we're going is to reduce our carbon footprint, but you can just if we get more into recycling, I mean, I know a lot of people don't, and that's another problem too. But we're gonna get to the point. I was just thinking too as you were talking, like you like watching the Oscars, you like watching the Golden Globes, you like watching the Emmys, and you like watching all
Speak
that.
for yourself.
And you get okay, you're not the common person, and they get the awards. Well, in about 10 years, they ain't gonna be real awards. You mean a digital, like, here's your digital download, here's your reward. Like, you're not gonna have it anymore. Like, what if you were actually going for that award, like you're a singer and you want this Golden Globe, and they don't hand you anything. They just go, oh, it's gonna be downloaded to your, like, are you serious? Like, to me,
Right.
To me, as we get further into this
Well,
digital
Bitcoin,
world, we
everyone's trying
fall
to push this digital
right.
stuff.
We fall into this world of like it becomes more hackable. And then the problem with Bitcoin is, yeah, Bitcoin has been going crazy, and cryptocurrency is this whole new thing. But you don't know what to. I'm still baffled by it.
It's not guaranteed. It's
And
still
the
not
thing is,
guaranteed.
a lot of the Bitcoins are fake. They've caught people where
Right.
they hype it up and then they take the money and run and they nowhere be seen. Like this
Right.
digital era is scary because even though you think you're up on the in the digital times and understanding what's going on, you don't. There's so much you
No.
don't know. Like no matter how much you know, there's so much more you don't know, and
Well,
and
getting
it's
back to the
scary.
carbon,
We're entering this whole new
yeah,
world.
the carbon footprint thing, I agree with you to a certain extent. But the companies are also to blame because, like I said, now we have all these chip shortages, right? There'll be more later. By the way, it takes a shit ton of regular purified water to make chips for computers and stuff. So if we're a water shortage crisis, you know what I mean? If there's droughts and fresh water is dripping everywhere, and like we're
Hmm.
losing, our water, well, that means components are not going to be made as much. If we're running out of this clean water, even if you recycle or do that hydrotonic whatever the hell it is for the ocean water, but like the I can't remember what the term is, but basically I'm losing my train of
Wow,
thought.
wow.
I know,
Okay,
but my point is like it's a domino effect. So when it gets
right.
back to the carbon footprinting, companies that making phones, they always wanted to upgrade their phones every year. So like you had to spend another $1,000. The younger people or the people that like want the latest and greatest, oh,
Right.
they just got their phone. It still works. It's a year old, but they want the new one. So now it's the 9, the 10, the 11, 12, the 13, 14, 15, right? So that's a waste. That's footprint carving waste right there.
Well,
But if you built, like I
yeah.
said, a device that
Hmm.
is reliable and basic, and I wouldn't even make it Wi-Fi usable. I know
But
that sounds
you
blasphemy,
don't,
but that way it's not hacked.
you
And then
don't
all
make.
you do is you just plug hard copies into
But
things.
that's the logical side of your brain working. It doesn't work that way because then for commercial or corporatism, because then you're not going to make money. I mean, I've always stood on the ground. I mean, it's happening right now, but I've always stood on the ground that there are 10 cars per human person in this world. There's that many cars in the world. They need to stop making fucking cars. And every 5 years, there should be a legislation that car makers can't make new cars till for 5 years. Like they make this one model and they have to stick with it for 5 years. Because as you keep
Right.
producing cars and these leasing, everyone like they're just landing in landfills. It makes our carbon footprint bigger. Even though you think you're getting it smaller, it's getting bigger because the items we're getting are bigger. So, but we are getting to that point. We are going to eventually push to that point where we don't have physical things anymore in a sense, and there's minor little things that are very going to be disposable. So, I was thinking one of my final thoughts for this lovely
Sure.
spur of the moment pod that wasn't supposed to be.
Right.
Some people think, and I'm turning into this thought process too. I'm not fully convinced on it yet, but as you archaeologists grave dig and dig up all these things, they feel like they've gone to a point where there's a gap in human history that we're not seeing because
Hmm.
as they're digging up, like things have disintegrated or the technology wasn't there. But maybe there's a lot of people who are, and I'm beginning to start believing this, is that the technology was there and they were advanced, but we just repeat it over and over again because we get to a point where we have carbon footprint, we build up, then we get to a point where we have not much of a carbon footprint because you're not going to find it, right? Because they've gone digital more or less, or whatever form they did back then, and then the civilization kills itself out by a virus, and then it's gone, and then humanity starts up again, and we get to that point again. We archaeologically dig, but if they do that, let's say like it happens again now, you're not gonna find shit because a lot of that shit you're gonna find the plastic bags, but you're not gonna find much of that. You're not gonna find that laptop. You're not gonna find all these DVD cases. I mean, they're all gonna be gone by then when the humanity gets to the point again to research back and
When everything's
archaeologically
officially
dig.
digitized, is what you're
Right.
saying.
So like I feel like we're just going to keep repeating that part of history, and it's a very interesting thing because they are finding suspects like Egyptians had fucking batteries. They had electricity. There's almost almost all archaeologists and scientists believe they had electricity. So it's turning into this whole thing like you get into these pharaoh tombs and all that, and they're so far deep down that there's no way you can have fire down there because of like oxygen and all that. you had to have some kind of electricity light. There was some kind of
Well,
battery
no,
they
they
had.
used they had very special techniques that they did, and like for example, how they built the structures. Like I know, and I think even in the Middle East now, natural air conditioning is it's like by building a tower a certain way and having the airflow from up high in the sky coming in and funnel down. There are ways light refracting, excuse me, and mirrors and all
Sure.
these other aspects. So yeah, they definitely have running water inside,
It's just
like little troughs of water running inside, things like that.
we're gonna get to that point, but that was my final
Sure,
thought.
but well, that's a good point. My final thought is I will disagree with you slightly. Like I think there's one entrepreneur out there that's willing to not be greedy, because if you think about it this way, right? If you sell a product, even if it's $10, $20, 50 cents, and every household in America buys it, and it's sturdy and it's strong and it lasts, you have a name brand that works forever. Then what happens is over time, I mean, just due to natural wear and tear, if the
Mm-hmm.
device breaks, then you just go and you buy another device. So there is a turnaround, but it's not going to be as fast as the iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But let's back up, because this is my final thought. The reason why I liked the iPad 1 first gen was it had everything you could possibly want. Everything built into it. And it even had an export option for physical cables.
Right.
You had all these extra features.
Well, because they
And
wanted to
I
get you hooked
noticed
on it.
as the iPad changed over, as what's his face passed away, Jobs, I noticed there was a change, and it became, even though it was advancing, the technology was advancing the iPad, the simplicity of the iPad disappeared. Like, oh, I just want it for this, or I just want it for that. Because back then in iTunes, I don't know if you can still do it now, but if you had your own files that you created, let's say grandma kisses, the nephew for the first time or some shit like that, I don't know, whatever. Like you could make that file and drop it into your iPad, so you could show them. Like I used wedding videos
Right.
on my iPad for display purposes and whatnot. And now I don't know if you can still do that. Maybe you can, but they keep adapting iTunes, the software, so it's locking it in more and more, harder and harder. Only cloud based, only purchases that you make. It's becoming more and more difficult for you to personalize your stuff. And what I'm saying is that first gen allowed me to personalize it as well as get the latest and greatest. And that's why I'm saying if somebody was smart enough to just maintain that, look, HDMI, USB, USB, all of the coax cable, I don't care, AVI cable, like it doesn't matter, six whatever
Yeah,
Ethernet
yeah,
port,
sure.
whatever.
I get you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just make a thing that supports all of that, and then I guarantee you it will. And keep it offline too. If you have to update it, you can buy the update disc. That's where you make your money. You say, "Here's the update disc." You buy it physical copy and slap it in and call it a
Nobody
day.
wants to buy a disc, man. They want to do it digital.
I'm
But
just
that's the
telling you, you got to
problem.
have a disc drive for it, because there's too many
Right.
disc things anymore.
That's
I would
true.
even almost put like 8-track shit in there. I don't care.
Sure.
So that's my final thought. So thank you for listening to Entertainment Banter. Next week, stay tuned for video games. My name is Matt.
Had to throw that plug in there. And my name is Joel. And I'm done. If you enjoyed that one, stay tuned because there's another one.